welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast, powered by Game 7 Baseball, Game7Baseball.com. Game 7 Baseball is one of the area's top tournament companies. Check out their fall ball selection out. They've got starting in September, running through the end of October. You won't regret it. It'll be fun. Game7Baseball.com. Today we're talking a little perspective. Because I always think topics, I love comments, and I always love to address comments. I think it's cool. We want the conversation. That's what this should be about. It's youth baseball, high school baseball, and we want, so comment below. What do you think about these things? I think it's an interesting conversation. And we're talking about 14U. Recently, I made some comments on a show, and a gentleman said, "Hey, I think this." And I'm like, "Cool, all right, let's talk a little bit more about it." I think it's a great subject because me personally, with 14U, I think it's difficult because 14U, there are so many range of sizes that it becomes difficult when you see the 90-pound soaking wet kid trying to swing a drop three. And it breaks down, I think, that's where I'm going to start, and then we'll get into that. But so -5 becomes the question. And there are tournament companies that say 14U still allow the 14U to use -5. There's other tournament companies that say no, or wood bat, which, wood bats are always, in my estimation, going to level the playing field across the board, period.
Done.
Doesn't matter what age, right?
You could. I mean, my team played 14U down in Branson, and there was, and you would think down on the Ballparks of America field or whatever it's called down there. And I apologize for if I misrepresented the name, but there's short fences, and there wasn't many home runs hit.
Right.
Playing with wood. And I tell you what you think those little duck farts are, they end up getting caught by your third baseman in front of the bag. So when you hit a baseball with wood, it is different. It feels different. It is awesome.
Your hands hurt a little more.
Well, definitely when you miss hit them, right? So, but when you hit that, it's the sound of it, especially in that stadium setting that they had down there. When you heard that crack, it just was like, man, that's a sound that you just love. Like the 430-foot bomb that Pujols hit the other day. I swear you could hear it out in the bleachers. It sounded like gunshots. So that's the thing, is -5, -3. And I'm excited about this conversation because not only did I just experience 14U, but I'm also a high school coach, and my goal has always been to prepare for high school. So I'm very excited about this conversation.
Okay, let's take a look at this. 14U. Now, of course, you have -10s, you got drop 8, and everything up to that way. So 14U, USSSA started this a while back. USSSA has the stamp. You have -5. 14U can use a -5. And those are things that are there. You have that 14U that still does 5480.
I could see that maybe in some like recreational leagues, but I actually did not know. This is my first time in baseball in a long time as coaching, so I have not looked at other sanctions. I was very happy with Game 7, so we stayed in it. But I didn't even know that was a thing. I just assumed that it was all 60-90.
For the most part, it is. There aren't too many kids that are at 14, unless it's, I think, in the recreational side. But I think this is where it goes to. The thought process is, okay, we're preparing for high school. Fine. All right. Most of these kids at 14U won't get past their freshman team. I would say it's if you're looking at it, I'd say it's probably 0.001% of the kids that are playing high school baseball in the state of Missouri will be on their varsity team. And if they are, it's probably in the class 1, 2, 3, maybe class 4 teams, right?
Maybe. I mean, you're again, like you, as a whole, I think maybe you're off a little bit there, but looking at the GACs, you have freshmen that are going to make varsity, and a significant large portion of those guys probably will, just because they're not making JV and they're not making varsity levels as freshmen. So those guys are going to move through those ranks. And so I coached freshman baseball. I would say that a large percentage of those guys will make varsity this year.
No. I'm talking about as freshmen.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I understand.
I misunderstood. I misunderstood.
No, you're fine.
Yes.
No, I think eventually, they'll get there. But incoming freshmen making the varsity squad.
You're much. There are very few kids that will. Oh yeah, I'm on board. I'm sorry.
You're fine. I
had a freshman on my team that made varsity, and he's at a 1A school. And he had significant playing time. We're talking about having 40 kids. To draw from 40 baseball players. Are 40 male athletes, and so
that's a big difference. I'm gonna backtrack one
more time. It's 40 male students that they're trying to draw a full team from, and so a lot of these small schools only have one team, so you may not even have cuts. So that's why you hear some of these kids are like they go to the Timberland, and I'm only using Timberland because I'm there, but they might get cut, and they got a kid that maybe they're better than on their summer team that can make a varsity team, and they're like, what the heck? And I'm like, you are a product of your area, and it's unfortunate. So, yeah, you definitely have very small percentages, especially at your higher class levels, getting up there. So I apologize for missing that.
Oh, no, you're fine. So this goes to my point. If you're talking about development, if we're talking about developing players, and we have a roster of kids, and you have one kid on your roster, it's maybe a AA squad that is 5'10", 5'11", 160, 170 pounds. Okay. And he's strong enough, and he has, a 29-32, can swing that pretty good. Fine. Many of the other kids, maybe 110, 20, 25 pounds. Honestly, 5'6". Some of them may be short. There's some kids that haven't hit their growth spurt. Why are we taking and putting a bat in their hands that is too much for them? Breaking down their swing, breaking down their mechanics, rather than putting a bat in their hands that they actually can handle, swing, and consistently construct their mechanics around that.
Well, I completely disagree with most of this. That's why I'm excited for this conversation. I also think 14U is the only time that -5 is ever in play. I think once even 13U on down, I think it's -8.
Right.
So I think the 14U age group is the only -5 allowed. For me, it's.
I mean, you could swing a -5 at 13 if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's the same argument that you would have because it's the difference of 3 or whatever. But
right.
What truly is the difference between the -5 and the -3? It's 2 ounces seems like a lot. It can be a lot for especially a kid that's 110 pounds. For me, what is my goal as a developer? If I'm training my athletes and my goal is to get them to make their high school teams, I am solely training to build them to become a high school athlete. So if I have the ability to train for a year and some change, year and a half before they hit high school sports, high school fields, I'm swinging -3s. I'm suggesting to swing -3s. And my team this year, if you hear the sound of our bats, we have -3s. And maybe that's why our hitting wasn't as special as some of the other teams, but I did not waver, neither did the kids. They bought into that though, right? And so we trained to swing a -3, not a -3 to swing us. And so whether you were a 110-pound kid or a 200-pound kid, we were going to get you prepared for high school. And that to me mattered more than maybe your hands dropping just a little bit because you couldn't swing the bat. What do we have to do to get you to swing that? What are the movement patterns we have to get you to learn to swing that? They're still swinging the same length, 2 ounces. Let's do some more curls.
Well, but yeah, and I get where you're coming from, and I've heard these arguments and whatnot, but I still think mechanics are key to the process of a swing and being able to manage those mechanics consistently. Because through a season, you're going to get tired. Your body's going to get tired. You're going to do that, and it's going to fail. And once your mechanics start to fail, your swing fails, period. That happens at the major league level. So what are we doing in my estimation? I know most of these kids, they're going to play freshman ball, all right? They're going to get another year's growth I'm going to have another off season as a trainer with them. So then we can start going, okay, guys, it's time. Now, are you hitting the weight room? Are you putting yourself, do that with the curls. If you're hitting that -5, your mechanics are staying there. I am getting stronger. Then my mechanics are going to stay more consistent. And when I hit that 15U as a freshman, my mechanics are going to be in good shape, hitting that -3, and I'm going to believe, that's what I believe, you're going to be in better shape to have success at the freshman level.
Yeah, maybe. My whole thing is this: how long does it take to perfect you're not going to perfect the swing, but to get to where you want? And how I looked at this is I have a year and a half, not a half a year. Mm-hmm. And so if I have a year and a half to teach a kid how to swing a -3, and okay, let's say he at the end of the summer he's tired. You have to learn to deal with adversity anyway. So why don't you deal with it? Why don't you learn how to adapt and change? And when you are struggling, maybe you have to cheat a little bit. Maybe you don't have a leg kick here. Maybe you're a no stride guy. Like, let's start using our minds on how to develop change, or, to be able to hit like you did early in the season when you were strong coming out of the off season. I'm not saying I'm right or wrong. I'm not saying you're right or wrong. We had kids that said, Coach, I can't swing the -3. Then you swing what you need to.
Can I bring this into, and I think there's a point to this, okay? I laid just a broad foundation of these things, and again, I think this goes to what I personally need to think, or think needs to happen, at this age level. I think we broaden it across the board for all kids rather than looking at the athlete. And this is one of the reasons why you had a couple kids I thought were strong enough, big enough to swing a -3. And I saw, and I think and they were. And this is one of the things, if you're going into a Game 7, not everybody's swinging -5s. There's a lot of those kids I saw watching them swinging -3s, drop threes, because they were strong enough to do so. I just don't think we should put it on the athlete who isn't physically where they're going to be later, when we can help them get better by swinging a bat that fits more to their strength.
It is a matter of the strength, or is it, for me, I look at, like, I don't hear the physical attributes of it. I hear the mental side of it, because obviously if you're struggling, maybe handling a -3, how does that impact your, what's between your ears? Then you have that doubt that you can't swing the -3. Mm-hmm. And again, you can train to swing the -3, and at any size. I mean, for the most of your life, you're swinging a -3 in this sport.
No, I understand.
You know what I mean? And so it gives you more time to train. And so what do you want to do when you get to high school? You want to be prepared for that. Do you really only want 4 months to prepare for your high school season?
Well, I think
you get that.
I think that I don't think that is as much of a factor if you've created a process in which you've set that person in motion, mechanically sound. Everybody's going to have mistakes and fall apart. You know that. You've been instructing for far too long. And
thank you. I need a break.
And so this is just what I think. I just don't think we cookie cutter so many things. And then we say, well, it's because you need to do this. You got to do this. Maybe I don't. Maybe we talk to the player. Maybe we look at the situation and address those things, because if that was the case, then everybody, even at the major league level, would swing the same size bats, the same ounces, the same things. They don't. Barry Bonds swung one of the smallest bats I ever saw. Right?
Was it like 32? Something like that, 32 or something weird. He was, and I don't remember the size, but he also stood on top of the plate. I mean, he
right.
Absolutely, you're correct, and I agree with this 100%. Is the cookie cutter mentality. Mm-hmm. We don't, when I encourage my guys, I said, what is your goal? And if the goal was to make the high school team, then let's swing high school bats. And my whole thought process behind this, and of course I have to get the people to buy in. I have to get the athlete to buy in. How many swings are you going to take before you can swing the bat? Before the bat swings you? You can't just swing it at practice. If you're going to do that, then you're going to go into games that maybe have some issues. But if you take 300 swings off of a -3, -5 is nothing. The only thing that you like, in my opinion, that -5 is you can hit the ball a heck of a lot farther, and when you miss a barrel, because of what that -5, the trampoline effect off that bat. -3s are dead, when you use the BB core, because that's what they are. And so when you miss hit a BB core, it's a can of corn, but you miss hit that -5, and that ball's still flying. And to me, I just did not want the mentality to say I wanted barrels. And
I understand. And okay, and here's something else though that I think, when we're talking about the mental side of it. I have a player that is talented but yet doesn't necessarily physically have the strength to maybe do what another kid who's bigger, stronger, whatnot at 14U. Okay, am I going to, you think, well, that's cheating. They're cheating it because they're using the -5. I don't think so. I think we want to build a mentality of success. Baseball is a game, such a game of failure. Even if the kid's hitting with a -5, is he really going to hit 700? No,
right.
It's not.
He can still hit a $130 with a -5,
right?
So
and so why not give and put them in a better situation mentally to succeed in those respects physically? And another part of this is I've seen enough, and you've been with me. We've talked to some of these major guys. Justin Dearden, who is getting that next. Went to AAA. I love that stuff.
Hit a homer the other night, Sunday night. Hit a homer, first one.
Here's a guy that we've talked to, Braxton Martinez. I saw the video from him that he's having a lot of success there. These are guys that when we're talking to them, they're talking about hitting in the cage and getting themselves prepared. They'll take maybe 5 swings at a time anyway, because they've put it all into it. Boom, that's it. I don't want to break down my mechanics because I'm tired. I want to maintain. And I thought, and that's one of the things that kind of was like, oh, that's an interesting thought. And I'll be honest, I hadn't really thought about it that way.
This is one that's going to get me. It doesn't matter if you're swinging -3, -5, -8, -10. Right. If you're going to take a whole bucket of swings in a round, that's ridiculous. So if you're a coach that does that, please stop doing that. If you're trying to train for swing endurance or something like that, throw 5 of them real quick and get them out of the cage, and then make them run. Try to create the energy of a game to where they take 5 swings, 5 sprints down the back of the cage, and you put them in there to take 5 swings again. If you want to break them down that way mentally, and then give him his break, but don't give whole buckets. If the guys at the highest level are taking 6, 8 swings, whatever it is, we have got to follow that suit. If they're doing it in college, if we're high school coaches, be better. Get them in, get them out, let them have success, because we've talked about the failure side of things is already too hard. It doesn't matter the -5, -3, right?
In that respect, I agree with you.
Yeah, 100% there. And so I think as coaches, we need to be much better in how we instruct and how we run our practices, and not letting these dudes take 80 freaking hacks and think that, hey, you need to do this on your next swing. Like, no, they're not even going to be close to being able to do that because they're gassed.
Take 10 swings, full speed. I'm even less. I would. My goodness. Well, I'm just saying, just do that and see how you feel. It's not easy. It just isn't. If you're even then, when you talk about and I've had the chance to watch Krogman Chase hit, and then which he's now starting to 2-way, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. Dearden hit, and then Braxton. When they take a swing, they don't just keep standing there. They will take a swing, they will step out, adjust, come back in. So they're 20 seconds in between each swing. 5 swings might last 2 minutes, a minute and a half. Right. And they're not bam, 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 bam. And I do this at times. I'll throw. If the kid stays in there, I'm just going to throw, right? And I get him gassed out, and I say, how you feel right now? He's like, well, the first 2 were great. The last 3 were terrible. I said, why? I got tired. I said, so why didn't you step out? I didn't know I could. What do you mean you didn't know you could? You are the one that controls the pace, so step out of the box. And then, trying to get
to develop the mind and getting over, again, going back to the -5, -3, get over the fact that it's 2 ounces. What are you preparing for? That's how I look at these things. I'll swing I swung a 34. I was lucky enough to swing a -5 all through high school, to be honest with you. So when I got to college and I had to swing the -3, I was intimidated. I was intimidated by that, but the bat rules changed. I mean, that's what high school baseball was -5 when I was all 4 years that I played. As soon as I went to college, they changed that. So I put a -3 in my hand, and the only thing I did was swing until I could swing the -3.
And I'll be very honest, and Justin can tell you because he was around me. There's things that I'm saying here that I did not do then that I wish I would have done a little differently at that time because of this, because of my thoughts and looking at things, what I know now as opposed to what I did then. And I will stick with it because I think it goes to the athlete. What are we doing to help the athlete? That's my thought process to it. And how are we helping them have success? Does it fit them better? What do we do? And I think, if you go either side, that's the decisions we make, right? We're just talking about this is your thought process, is what I think. I think it's a great conversation, just in the fact that what do you see as a coach and how you approach things?
Again, I'll go back to trying to make sure the kid's confident. Because the success of hitting is whatever. I look at things however you want. To me, I want the kid confident. So if he feels that he grabs a bat, that -5, which I think the -5 is like 2 3/4 barrel, anyways. Isn't it a bigger barrel?
It depends. You can get a 2 5/8.
Can you?
Yeah.
I don't pay attention.
You can, but with the -5, you can get the big barrel.
I got you.
To me, I think that goes a little. I would suggest no. I would go with the 2 5. If you're going to do -5 at that age, go with the 2 5/8. Keep the smaller barrel because that's what you're going to get at a -3, and focus on that.
Yeah, and you can. And again, going back to just simple things, we had a couple kids that needed to swing -5s, and they did. I had a couple kids that I looked at and actually suggested to swing the -5. He said no.
Oh,
he said no because he wanted to train with them. He liked the thought process of having more time to prepare for high school. So he stuck to that process. And, to me, that's where I feel like that wins. But for the other kid that chose to stay on the -5, he felt that that's what he needed to be competitive. So that's where I agree with you on that. For the training side of things, let's go back to that. He can train with a -3 all winter long. He can train all season long with -3s. He can warm up with -3s.
Okay.
He doesn't have to swing a -3 in his 1 or 2, 3 at bats in a game. He can swing what he feels good with. But maybe in warm ups he's swinging a -3 to get the reps. And maybe one day he picks it up and he just starts using it.
And just does it. Huh?
Because he's been training with it. So you don't just have to, and again, going back to wood,
that's a whole different world,
but
right?
Most of them are -3s. Most
Yes.
woods you buy from anywhere are -3.
That's correct.
Hands down, right? So all winter long, we swing wood.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with that thought process. I don't have a problem with those things when you're talking about but then you talk about sweet spot, then you talk about wood. To me, if you want to go into this conversation, and this is, I'll make this point with it and why I say what I'm saying about the -5 and comfort. Why are the collegiate levels still swinging aluminum bats? Why are they still swinging -3 BB cores? You want to get somebody killed?
Well, I can give you
goodness.
I can give you the reason.
It's money.
Yeah,
I get that.
You knew exactly what it was going to come down to.
But you know what? There's money there. You can do that. Go get the wood bats, put it in. If you're getting drafted out of high school and you go to play, you're playing with the wood bats. So again, here we are. I think we can that's just my thought process. So build a comfort level to the player and the athlete where he's at. Honestly, you really don't think there isn't a kid that shouldn't be swinging a wood bat at the collegiate level? There's a whole nother subject.
I guess that's next week's conversation.
That's
because
right.
it absolutely, you're true though. Like, I don't know. Yeah. when I hit a wood baseball, I feel like I can hit it further than a BB core ball.
Is that right?
I feel like that.
Okay.
I don't know
if you get it on the sweet spot. But the problem with that is with the BB core, you got a little larger sweet spot than you do with a wood bat.
Yeah, we're talking missed hits.
Yes.
Yes. I get jammed. I can bloop. I'm strong enough to bloop something. I'm not happy. I didn't barrel the ball. Right. So does it really matter? It's just on base, which matters. I mean, obviously you got to score runs. So getting on base, you do that.
It matters. Yeah.
What's the one thing that you have to do with a wood bat in your hand? You have to find a way to get to the barrel.
Yes.
And
that's where the mechanics come into play at a great level.
All of it. There's just so many things that you have to have with a wood bat in your hand to be a successful hitter. That's why I like to preach hitting wood bats. And again, it's -3s.
Yeah, and I love that in the off season doing that because it does create that in that situation. And again, I still go back to the athlete, and these are all good points. So I think it gives people whatever you see, you have opportunities. How do we take and put our athletes in a place of success? And I think that's where that's the point of view we're both coming from.
Yeah, and that's where we agree too.
Yeah.
And also I think probably for me, where I envision this, the emotion comes from probably thinking like elite kids. Your AAA majors. Where you're talking about double A's and single A kids, recreational athletes. They probably need to swing the -5s. They're just the time put in is not the same. The effort's not the same. That kind of conversation. And then the strength of those kids. You're correct, and so maybe for me, I'm thinking on the terms of
an elite level. I think you're looking at majors. A lot of different times. You and I know that if you're talking about a team that is select and traveling in a national level, a lot of these kids at 14U,
they're 6'2". They're not 5'2".
Right, exactly. You're talking about kids anywhere from 5'10" to 6'2" at this age level, and are developing, getting stronger. Maybe not at where but as Kevin Mulder says, it's very projectable. You see their body types and things of that nature. So there is a little bit of difference, and I get that part. But on a whole level, again, this cookie cutter thought process of saying this and this and this. Hey, you know what? They're going to be a freshman too. They're going to play freshman ball. There's time to get these kids, and especially a lot of these very good double A players. I believe there's time to get them to that point. That's just
I can give you an example of what's going on right now. Is like I have Cole Chambers, who's 13, turning 14. He's actually younger, but 13 to 14. He swung -5 last year as a 13U, which we talked about. And then he swings his -3. He swings mostly the wood in our lessons. He swings mostly wood, which is I think it's a 32-29 he might have, or maybe a 31-28. But he's taller than I am. He's a lot thinner than I am, but he can swing that bat. He understands what it takes to swing that bat. He's still a small-natured kid, but he's long, and so
and his physicality is projectable, isn't it?
Correct. And the kid's got six-pack already. So at the end of the day, we're not talking about
core is huge too, isn't it?
Well, that's what's going to swing it. That's ultimately what's going to help swing that thing.
Yeah.
Those movement patterns and how we brace. So, for me, obviously, I'm not so gung ho on it has to be a -3 or bust. On my group. I am suggesting it because of the time that I get to train, and that's what I'm selling you. I'm not selling you that you're going to be a better hitter or worse hitter if you swing a -5 or any of those things. I'm not going to say you're going to get more hits with -5. I'm not going to even say it's easier. Mm-hmm. For me as a coach, it allows me more time to get them prepared for high school sports. That's my only argument. It's the only beef I have with it. I don't want a kid swinging a -5, and because he hits one out with a -5, I don't want him getting in his ears that the only reason I did that was because it was a -5.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean? Those are the things that I want to try to stay away from. And
I understand that thought process.
It just and again, this is coming from the training side of things. I think as a parent side, I'm probably swing a -8 and see if you get busted. I don't know.
No, we don't cheat. No, don't do that.
Well, it's only cheating if you get caught, right? Ask
Stop
Tatis.
it. No,
well, ask Fernando.
Well, Fernando.
Baseball's had cheaters
Lord.
in it. I mean, we've been stealing signs
Jeez, man. I know, right?
eating hot dogs. I mean, think about eating a hot dog.
Play the game right. Play the game right. Come on, folks.
Get that extra protein to
Play the game
hit
right.
700 and something bombs.
Good stuff, bro. I love that.
Yeah, well, these are fun because I don't agree with you 100%. So it's always fun to have that and see that, you know, that it can open conversation. You can have these debates. It don't need to be over the top.
No.
These are conversations that I know people are having outside of here.
Right.
I know parents are thinking about. And ultimately, who are we talking to? We're talking to the athlete, which you have said what is best for the athlete. And I'm in. I mean, it's fun to. And
Cole Chambers went to the Future Games.
He did well,
and he showed very well.
I'm going to be interested in what that young man does because he can throw pretty well.
I know.
And
right?
I wonder what the high school and if his parents are watching this, I'm sorry to Blake and Jody, but Cole is, if he's got that ability and skill set. That could take him a lot further than just being a middle infielder.
I think it will through high school. Go and play. I really do, especially in Missouri, in this state. Go and play. By the time you're a senior, if you're throwing 90s and whatnot, that'll work itself out. I really believe that. If you look at the structure, and I'm talking with Kevin Mulder quite a bit, who's the director of scouting for Missouri for PBR, sees all these kids. That will work itself out. A lot of these kids I saw, they're playing both ways their senior year, but they're going to school to pitch.
Yeah, and you know what? I am starting to see kind of like college is starting to go back to even the mid 90s where you saw the run of a lot of two ways. The guys at Cal State Fullerton, which was big then, that coach ran a lot of two-way guys. He'd have a center fielder come in and throw one inning and go right back on the outfield.
Right.
Right. And because he didn't want to lose the kids the bat.
Yeah.
And you're starting to see a little bit more two-way action happening in professional baseball. Obviously, Shohei Ohtani has done enough with saying, hey, maybe we should look at these kids. And Mesa Wynn's a guy that actually can project on the mound. Obviously you saw 100 and something miles an hour across the diamond. He can throw high 90s.
He can be your closer for crying out loud.
And he's got an inning under his belt in professional baseball.
Right.
Why haven't they given him more time? I'm not sure. Maybe it's because of his size and they don't want to hurt his arm or something of that nature. He's more valuable as a shortstop. High 90s kind of guy that throws a bunch of strikes. I'm like, I probably want to get him some time on the bump. But why not make that move? Why not have him have 7 innings on there and all of a sudden you throw him?
It's a DH now across the board. I think that's a interesting
the game's
thought.
so analytical now. Like the moves that some of these coaches are making in random weird spots, it's just not something I'm used to. It's like, let's continue to adapt and work these two ways. And I can see a kid like Cole being a two-way guy up until probably college. And he's going to have to make a decision wherever he goes.
There you go. Guys, we hope this was a conversation that was interesting to you. Comment below. Please share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear from you. That's why that's how we get these subject matters. It's always great.
You have to comment.
Yeah, absolutely. Comment below. Share this out, please. If it's interesting conversation, share it out. We appreciate that very much. Subscribe. Hit that dinger. Doubles and dingers. That's what we do around here. And everybody, have a great day in the Lord. All you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters,
and with ain't.
That's what we're talking about today. We'll see you next time.